You made it to the computer room. Great. Okay, now listen. The computer is basically fried. Unless you're secret genius hackers, its functions are going to be pretty limited for now. It'll only be able to open one airlock at a time.
Luckily for Kathy, one of us is an aspiring secret genius hacker. Phalanx sees a computer with scrolling lines of code on the screen, interrupted by static. It's beeping alarmingly. Just to the right of the green and black monitor, he notices a 5 1/4-inch floppy disk jammed into the drive. The label sticks out just enough to read a bit of the scrawled text. Emergency override, URAB. Phalanx steps closer to the monitor and gets to work. Gracefully manipulating the code, he manages to override the on-the-foot security measure, limiting the door to opening one at a time. He then accesses the interface directly. A status report on the computer tells him the east ventilation shaft status, 1 of 5 active. Engage all fans to evacuate airborne toxins. West ventilation status, 0 of 1 active. Engage all fans to evacuate airborne toxins. The team moves to the western airlock. We take some ammo and the east maintenance keycard from a nearby chest. As we step inside the airlock, we receive a message from Kathy.
Shit, those fumes in the ventilation tunnels look toxic. You're either going to have to run through there fast, or you're going to have to get all the fans running. It might clear it out.
Luckily, the fumes don't seem to linger. Near the eastern airlock is a safe, which Jack cracks into. There's more ammo in the west maintenance keycard, and another Army-issue backpack among the junk. Drift takes the backpack. Instead of braving the toxic fumes, the team heads through the southern door.
You found the mushroom cave. That's where Dr. Larson did all his fungal research. I'm seeing a lot of movement in there, but none of it looks human.
Towering toadstools bloom throughout this cavern, giving off a heady bouquet of dung and decay. Oddly, while growing out of control, they seem to be politely minding the garden fences that contained them before they exploded. In all, an intoxicated caterpillar would not feel wholly out of place atop one of the mushrooms. Angela never liked mushrooms, and making them bigger hasn't helped. Up ahead, the team spots a superfly, and Drift takes a shot at it with her sniper rifle. 3 superflies and 3 pod people face us. Angela screams as she hits a superfly, leaving it bleeding. The superfly's poisoned bile strikes Stone, and Jack gashes into its abdomen, butchering it. Stone blasts buckshot into a second superfly, snuffing out the flying parasite. Phalanx's SMG rounds penetrate the last superfly, ridding the land of another filthy menace. Rose loses control and runs right into an exploding pod. Angela's bullets rip into a pod person, ending its painful metamorphosis. Slashing like a berserker, Jack kills a pod person, damaging himself, Stone, and Phalanx in the process. Angela's bullets rip into the last pod person, catching Rose in the ensuing blast. While patching up Stone and Rose, Drift asks why the hell Jack decided to attack a pod person and put 3 members of the team at risk. He was getting antsy and saw an opportunity to help and took it, but he apologizes for hurting the others. To the west, we find a crate with a nail board in it and some ammo. To the south, we find a trapped crate and a locked safe. In the safe is a Mark 27 submachine gun among the ammo and junk, which Phalanx happily takes. It doesn't dish out the same damage as his greaser though, so he strips it for parts. We recall a small entryway to the east, and after Angela removes a pod blocking the way, the team steps through. Inside, we spy a woman whose fingernails are splintered and bent back. It looks like she was clawing at something. It also looks like she took a shotgun blast to the face. In the corner of the room is a researcher's corpse wearing a smiling photo ID badge labeled Ryan Urbison. Next to the body lies a strange weapon. This bizarre contraption looks like a cross between an industrial sprayer and a flamethrower. It has the word herbicide scratched on the side of it, but the herba has been hastily painted over with fungi. A door with a sign reading "Fertilizer Storeroom, Warning, Toxic Chemicals" sits across the entryway. We can hear someone shout, "Go away, Sergio," between sobs. Phalanx is too preoccupied with this strange gun to notice though, and decides that these energy weapons might be worth investing his skills in. The team nears the door, which appears to have been scratched with fingernails. As we near the door, the team can smell booze and sadness. The man yells through the door, "You ain't Sergio no more. Please, don't make me shoot you. Don't make me do to you what I did to Drift tells him that we aren't Sergio. We're the Rangers. He unbars the door, and inside is a functional storeroom full of chemicals and fertilizers. The farmer standing in the middle of it is hollow-eyed and spattered with blood. It looks like he's been crying. This man is Skinner. He tells us we're too late to come save the day. When Drift asks why, he says if we had come earlier, he wouldn't have had to kill his wife. Apparently his wife Marta and their son Sergio were out in the fields when the madness started, and came down into the caves to find him, but when they found him they weren't themselves anymore. This madness started in the caves about an hour ago. The mushrooms grew out of control and the other guys were getting sick. Then the alarms went off. Skinner tried heading upstairs to find his family, but a few employees chased him here trying to tear his face off. Then Marta and Sergio showed up. If he found out someone sabotaged the center, he'd kill them. Much like Julio, Skinner's main suspect is Sue. He's always trying to breed new plants. Maybe one of his experiments got out of control. When asked what he knows about Sue, Skinner says he was hired as a research assistant, but all he does is bitch about how we do things around here. Says plants should be free and we shouldn't hoard them to ourselves. Skinner thinks he did something to the plants to make them tear this place apart and escape. If he sees Sue, he's going to give him one for his family, right between the eyes. Drift asks about the possible sabotage. Some of the guys thought someone might have put something in the nutrient mix. They headed off for the irrigation shutoff valve with Doc Larson to shut it off. He can still hear the pumps though and doesn't think they made it. Skinner feels ashamed of himself as he's been hiding in the storeroom while everyone else went up to shut down the pumps, including the doctor who doesn't even own a gun. Drift tells him that we've cleared a path to escape, but Skinner doesn't think he's ready to go. He doesn't want to see any ghosts. By that he means his dead friends and family. He already killed one and doesn't want to do it again. Next, Drift asks about the merchant that saw Ace die. His name is Sammy Haas, but Skinner doesn't know how much we'll get out of him as he was scared when he told Skinner and he had a hard time understanding what was said. Hopefully he'll be in Rail Nomad. That's where he stocks up on snake squeezins before making his rounds. As we start to walk away, Skinner asks if we would mind him coming with. He feels ashamed for hiding when there's work to be done, and he at least wants to follow us until we get out of the caves. As Vargas said when we entered the Ag Center, a ranger's first priority is to the people, so we let him tag along. Inside a nearby crate is a book labeled History of the Ag Center, Part 3. Jack slashes through some barbed tendrils blocking the eastern door and then unlocks it. Inside, a fiberglass case with heavy plastic latches looks just like the kind of thing in which you'd safely store your guns. Next to it is a trapped safe that also falls into the too hard for stone category. He tries to open the fiberglass case, but once again fails to notice the booby trap. With the trap gone though, Jack is clear to try and pick the lock. He hears a snap and the lock refuses to respond to further force. Looks like he jammed it good, Feynman. Stone tells the team to step back as he has an idea. He remembered how the pod person blew open a safe and tries to do the same with his pipe bomb. He manages to break open the case and chest, but destroys the contents of them both, leaving only glass shards and splinters. There's an electronically locked safe in the other corner, one more chance to actually profit from this room. Phalanx takes a crack at it. Inside is a Bren heavy rifle among the ammo and junk. Stone finds that this gun is much better than his M2 rifle and equips it. Back in the storeroom, the team sees some sprayer tanks marked fungicide, do not ingest. Just what Dr. Lawson ordered. With the fungicide in hand, the team heads back to the ladder up to the central complex. Skinner thanks us for the escort and tells us to look out for Sergio before heading up the ladder. The team follows him up and heads back to the lab.
So, have you found the fungicide yet? Matt is deteriorating rapidly.
Yep.
Thank God, you're just in time. Give it to me and wait right here. Matt, your case is very acute. I'm going to have to inject a high concentration dose directly into your veins.
I don't think...
Shut up and give me your arm.
I can feel it working. Hurts, but it's better. Better. Thank you, Kathy. Thank you, recruits. I'm gonna need some time on the sidelines, but I think I'm gonna make it.
Thank you, Rangers. If you have a sec, I have one more request for you. You'll be especially interested if any of you caught the infection. Yes, thank you, Rangers. Matt would have died without you, not to mention the rest of us. But there's one last thing to be done. Get the cure into the fertilizer reservoir. Before you can do that, you'll need to finish shutting down the irrigation system. Come back here when you've done that. See you around, Rangers.
Now that Matt is healed for the most part, he thanks us for helping his people, then hands Drift the key to his office as he has some supplies for us. He tells us the code to his safe, which is 80085. Boobs. His office is the first door on the left through the west hall. Speaking of supplies, he's capable of trading again. Stone once again puts an M2 rifle up for trade, and then the team sells all of our junk. In return, we clear out his stock of antivenom, trauma kits, and medic packs. The team then goes to Matt's office. Unfortunately, a certain someone wasn't paying attention and tries the door, which blows up in his face. Stone steps out of the way so Drift can use Matt's key. Drift types the code into the panel. Inside is a mangler, another R270, a book labeled History of the Ag Center Part 1, and Matt's old Ranger Star amidst the ammo and junk. Phalanx disassembles the R270, recovering a sturdy mag. Jack gives Angela his rabbit's foot necklace and takes Matt's star. Inside the office is a box full of old VHS tapes, all labeled MacGyver. Maybe he was the guy who owned them. With the fungicide delivered, the next thing on the team's checklist is the search through the toxic hallways. Drift is apprehensive about deliberately sending her team through poisonous environments. Stone is growing even more paranoid of explosives. Phalanx is still marveling at his strange gun, and Jack is irritated that his moment of restlessness could have cost the team.